c'est quelque chose de minoritaire, que la chose n'a pas de valeur. Il y a plein de gens, dont moi par exemple, qui ont plein de contacts à travers le monde.
Je ne sais pas si on a commencé, est-ce que tu me vois?
Et qui vont à des événements d'espéranto, qui trouvent que l'espéranto est utile et bien parce qu'elle est neutre.
Moi, je vois ce que tu as écrit.
T'es bien préparé?
Simple à apprendre,
Je vois ce que
etc.
tu as écrit, mais
que l'atmosphère est aussi un peu comme dans l'atmosphère.
Ben, ça dit live.
Alors, beaucoup de gens font ça. Moi, j'aime bien l'idée d'une langue de communication qui ne soit pas une langue d'un pays ou groupe de pays en particulier. Et ben, j'ai beaucoup d'amis avec qui je parle en vrai, ici et ailleurs, en espéranto, et que aussi par Internet. Puis évidemment, on a nos groupes d'espéranto ici, et on a aussi des événements, des gros événements dans le monde chaque année, où on peut aller. Par exemple, en 2015, je suis allé au Congrès mondial d'espéranto en France. 100e, c'était, il y avait 2700 personnes.
C'est ça. Je vais juste prendre un moment, parce qu'on est présentement live avec Jimmy sur son site là, de Polyglots, the Community. C'est Jimmy Mello, à partir du Brésil, qui a commencé ce site. Puis ils ont un congrès qui s'appelle The Polyglot Congress, qu'il est en train de faire présentement. On avait déjà commencé notre présentation, donc nous, on va juste continuer. For our friends online, we're in Montreal, so it's going to be sort of a bilingual, trilingual conversation on languages. Welcome and thanks for being here with us. Okay? So, just to give you an idea of who is here, we have Tetsuya.
Hello, everybody.
Valérie. Alexandra.
That's right.
Alexandra, Valérie. We have Tian. Georges.
Hi, superstar.
Nicolas.
Diana.
Jason. And Diana.
All right, you guys are.
So we are all here today, and we were presenting, and Jimmy was holding his congress. So we said, why don't we do both at the same time? Hold our little presentation on languages and share with you. It's wonderful to be able to use technology and everything that goes along with it. Okay, so my name is Joey Perugino, and this is a little presentation that we had put together where we talked a little bit about my background in languages and I guess an event that we're coordinating here in Montreal, un événement qu'on coordonne qui s'appelle LangFest, qui est ça va être une réunion qu'on va faire annuellement là, à Montréal, toujours l'été. Cette année, ça va être le 25, le 26 et le 27 août. Puis, bon, on vous invite à venir nous voir à Montréal. C'est une très belle ville, puis en été, c'est super fun. So, in any case...
You might have to save the stuff on the slides because it's not clear.
No,
you can't really see it. Just
okay. Ce qu'on va faire, what we're going to do is we're going to post this presentation that I was presenting here. I'm going to include it in the comments, put it as a post for people to be able to see it. And I guess like that you'll be able to see what we have discussed about and things like that.
If you send
Okay?
it to me now by email, I could post it there very quickly.
Okay. If you want
And
to
it'll be ready.
permit us a second, we'll try to post it now so you can try to see. Okay? Donnez-nous un instant et nous allons mettre la présentation en ligne pour que vous puissiez la voir. D'ailleurs, Tetsu, tu devrais la voir parce que c'est dans le...
Okay. I see. Okay. Then you talk and I'll post this.
C'est beau. OK. Bon, Jimmy, dans un sens, on avait un qu'on avait dit à 2h30, là, mais c'est beau. Either way. So, why learn languages? On va retourner ici. Si je peux trouver ma souris, if I can find my mouse, it's down here. My mouse is too fast.
It's on your out screen probably.
Okay, so why LangFest? one of the things when you learn languages, I think, is that it permits you to be able to I guess, become more culturally aware. For me, I think it's one of the main benefits of having learned Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, things of the sort. I think it gives you an insight. It gives you the opportunity to see people differently. When you talk to someone in their language, it's you talk to their heart. When you just talk in English, which is a language that a lot of people communicate in, we can converse in English, but we're conversing. The person, it's not their first language, so it isn't the same thing as when you make the effort to talk to someone in the language that they are from. So in any case, some of I found this slide and I thought it was interesting. Learning languages creates tolerance. It permits you to be able to build bridges and make friends. It's something from which you can derive a lot of pleasure. You become more adaptable, more understanding. I think if people spoke more languages, probably we would live in a more peaceful world. A lot of the things come from miscommunication, from not being able to dialogue properly with one another. Okay, but in any case, this is some of the main reasons why learning a language is important. Okay, so we have a few minutes because I think there's some coordination problems on the web. But either way, we're going to go until the end on our slide, and if you can stick around, you'll learn more about what we wanted to talk about. Okay, so as such, LangFest in 2016, okay, or NAPS, which was which was what it was called back then, gave us a chance to have in Montreal and meet in person and exchange with and stuff like that people like Benny Lewis, Stephen Kaufman, Ollie Richards, Lindsay Dow, which is now called Lindsay Williams, Kadi Ndoye, which is originally from Senegal, lived in France. She's really great. We got to meet Jean-Benoit Nadeau, who's somebody that's really, really well known here in Montreal, and he's written a lot about I guess the cultural background of languages, the social, cultural, and thing like that. He lived in France for many years. He has a new book now that came out. So it was very, very rewarding for us to be able to see Jean-Benoit and to be able to talk with him. Other people that we saw Connor Quinn. Everybody enjoyed his talk very much. I didn't get to see Connor because I was coordinating the event, but I saw his presentation on our YouTube site, and I got the chance to see it there, and you can see it too if you haven't had the chance to see Connor before. He's really, really a great resource for language learners. Apart from that, one of my personal favorites, a woman that I respect very much, and that for me is very close to one of the ways that I learn languages, which is Susanna Zaraisky, which is the person responsible for a book called Learning Language Through Music, which for me is a very good way to make the ear, to learn the way people pronounce and things like that. So we had the honor of having Susanna with us, and that was really great. Apart from that, we had Chris Broholm from he's Danish, but he was living in Hungary. Now I think he's back in Denmark. But either way, Chris is really great, and he gave us a very, very interesting speech. Okay? And we had other people. We had Maureen Wilward, who gave us a presentation on Gaelic Scottish. And Maureen is coming to Montreal again next year. We had Jana Fadness, who's a person that she's American, but she lived in Japan for many years. And I think she's there right now again. But either way, she's sort of a language nomad. She goes from country to country and she picks up the language and things of the sort. And she is someone that people really, really, really appreciated very much. So in any case, these are some of the people that we saw. There was Zilia Muna, Simon Ager, who gave a speech on the origin of languages. Very, very, very interesting speech. Simon is an incredible resource. Did some of you here get to see Simon? Yeah. He was really great. Yeah. Really great. Mariuxi Mendoza, who gave a really cool presentation on Spanish, Ecuador, and made a personal commitment, which I'm reminding her to learn Quechua and Portuguese this year. So I don't know how she's doing on her Quechua, but I know that she's very motivated to learn Portuguese. So she's practicing her Portuguese. Apart from that, there's Sabrina Maheu. Sabrina, who's Québécoise, French-Canadian, gave an atelier, a workshop on learning Japanese. And I thought that was very, very interesting to have Sabrina, who's not Japanese at all, give a workshop on Japanese. And we had, I don't remember the name of the girl that was with her. But either way, there's another girl, again, not Japanese at all, that went there and learned Japanese and stayed there for many years, so she's very in touch with their norms and culture and things like that, which is very different from what we would have in North America or South America, where Jimmy is from, and things of the sort. We have someone called Ahmad that wants to ask us a question. Ahmad, hi. Here's our friends here from Montreal. Hi. We all say hello to Ahmad. Hi, Ahmad. What's your question, Ahmad?
Different are the dialects in the Arabic world?
Well, it depends. Like the dialects in the Middle East are quite similar, and same for the dialects in the Maghreb. But like, if someone from Maghreb tries to speak to someone from the Middle East, they might understand a few words, but not the whole conversation. So that's how different they are. It depends on the region of the world where it's spoken. Like I speak like two dialects, Egyptian and Lebanese, but my Lebanese is better, and I can understand when someone speaks in like the Syrian dialect. I have a friend who spoke to me in the Syrian dialect. I understood everything, no problem, no communication problems.
But why is the Egypt and Lebanon are fairly close to one another? So why is it so different, the dialects that they speak?
They're not that different after all. They're a little bit different.
They're very different.
Well, yeah, so some words are completely different, but like...
How about Syria, Libya?
Well, because Egypt is understood all over the Arab world, because it's the Arabic country with the most, the biggest population, so they make a lot of the media in the Arab world.
It's the base, yeah.
The base, the movies, the music, a lot of it is made in Egypt.
Like when you study Arabic, so I was going to say, when you study Arabic, you're actually studying classical Arabic, like what you do in universities and schools, and that language is not spoken in any of the Arab countries. It's not a language that you speak.
It's a language that you write. And you can understand it.
That you learn from the Quran, for example. Is that it?
Not exactly. No.
Because I know a lot of people.
Quran is written in classical Arabic.
Yes, but the classical Arabic has evolved and has become now. It's called modern standard Arabic.
Yes,
so it's not exactly like in the Quran, but yeah, you can. The Quran is written in a much more older formal language. It's like Shakespearean English. but now it has evolved.
So we have someone called Tatiana that's online, and she's asking. She speaks Spanish and English, and she's trying to learn French. Does anybody here? We all speak French.
Come to LangFest.
That would have some. Apart from coming to LangFest, well, which you should, Tatiana. You should come to Montreal this summer and spend a few weeks with us. But as we were talking amongst us before, okay, learning a language is a lot about trying to get exposure through different means, different tools that are at our disposal. You know, sometimes you have cassettes, sometimes you have music. Sometimes you have TV. There's a lot of movies that are made in French. Boyfriends, girlfriends. The fact that I speak Spanish so well probably has a lot to do with the fact that my wife is from Ecuador and I get the chance to talk it every single day. You know, but yes, and our good friend Patrick Coury is online, and he's saying hi. So hi, Patrick.
Hey.
I don't know if we answered your question, Tatiana. French is actually a language that you can find a lot of resources, a lot of things on the internet. Not as much as in English, but it's probably a close second or third for content that's available to learn languages. So, look, if you have questions or things like that, or you need tips, just write to us at info@langfest.org, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so I was going through the list of people basically that are coming next year. We've talked a little bit about it before. Steve Kaufman is coming back to Montreal. Steve Kaufman, he didn't like the reference, but this last year he was sort of called the godfather of languages. You know, it made him feel old when they interviewed him on TV. But in any case, so that was the case. Then we have Jana's coming back, Maureen is coming back, Nicolas, Mr. Esperanto in Montreal.
Well, I'm not the only one. There's several, but
yeah, that's it. A very good representative. What happened?
I don't know.
I did that. Back. Sorry.
Okay, it's back. It's
coming back.
Crazy.
Sorry about that. And I guess there's many other people. The cool thing about doing those kinds of reunions and doing events like this is that you get the chance to exchange and to meet with people, you know, that sometimes, you know, you wouldn't have the chance to be able to do so. I'm fortunate. I live in the same city as Nicolas, who speaks probably 6-7 languages and is really, really passionate about languages. I'm organizing this with Tetsu here, which is another great guy. Speaks 5-6 languages. 4 officially, but much more. Yeah, well, French, English, Japanese, and Mandarin, which is his base with his kids and his family. But he also speaks Spanish very, very well. He's another Latino like me. Yeah. You know, and that's it. And of course, for me, to be the person responsible, along with Tetsu, for bringing a little sensation like Bella to Montreal is something that you know, I'm very proud about, because it's really cool. I mean, you see her on TV. She was in Russia. She's 5 years old, and she's gonna come and present to us. That's like out of this world. I had
goosebumps watching her video.
I mean, she's a little phenomenon. George, who speaks 18 languages, started when you were
closer,
you started, George, when you were how old?
I think 11 years old.
When you were 11. Before that, you spoke French, English, Arabic.
Yes.
Only.
And all the other languages you learned in 7 years.
From 11 to almost 18. Yeah,
that's it.
18.
So in 7 years, you
That's
learned
about one new language
15 other languages. Okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's pretty amazing.
Thanks.
So think about this girl, Bella.
Mm-hmm.
She's 4 years old, and she speaks 7 languages.
Yeah.
You know, like you, like us, like most of us here, you learned languages because it was around you. French, English, Arabic.
Well, the rest came later.
And stuff like that, and the rest came later.
Yeah.
You know, this girl, her parents from a very young age, a little bit like Tetsu is doing too.
Yes.
From a very young age, they're applying. Can you imagine when she's 11, 12, how much of a head start she has on?
Well,
I mean, all of us here, it's amazing when you think about it.
There's a lot of potential. Like, I can see her in the future speaking so many languages, and I
guess so.
have a lot of hope for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wishing her the best of luck.
Me too. Me too. Hey, language learning, I didn't put it there. You know, it's very much up and down, up and down, up and down. There's a lot of. It's challenging. Sometimes it's frustrating because you want to learn, and you're just missing that little edge to be able to get to the point where you can converse with people and things of the sort. You acquire knowledge as much as you can, and after that you want to try to make your breakthrough and be able to start having those first conversations. Como nuestro amigo Jason, que quiere aprender el español. Y, que dice que no habla, pero lo habla un poco. Y está empezando a entender. Tú estás casi al punto de poder decir que puedes conversar en español. No estás ahí todavía, pero estás casi al punto.
Te vas a mejorar. No te preocupes, te vas a mejorar en el futuro. You're going to improve in the future.
You're going to improve. Tu vas continuer à améliorer ton espagnol.
C'est normal.
Yeah. So that's it. Okay. Did we have anything else that we wanted to say here?
That's our last slide.
I think so.
That's the same.
Okay, so that was 2016, 2017. That's it. That's it. So that's what we had prepared for you, and I can leave it on that, which is something that when I put it, everybody got the same reaction as I had, which is it's cool because I mean you just look at that and you try to see how many languages you can identify, and I think that's what makes the difference between people that have the language bug, or you want to call it.
Yeah.
I was calling it a disease before. It's not a disease. It's a good thing.
It's a blessing. It's the greatest blessing.
When you're like in the bus or in public places and people talk about you and think that you don't understand anything.
And then you can, you can eavesdrop and understand everything.
Many times.
That's it.
Or like when you're in the bus and the instructions are written in different languages and then you're just reading them for fun out loud and people are listening to you and they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Damn. It's
George's life.
It's happened before, yes.
Hey. Yeah, that's it. It's like, for example,
two presentations at the same time. That's really it's 2 hours.
Okay. So we have plenty of time. So basically, what we are going to do, okay, is we're going to continue having our conversation here. On va continuer à avoir notre conversation. Puis, s'il y a des personnes qui ont des questions pour nous, on peut les répondre. Mais comme tel, moi, ma présentation est finie. Mais ici, quand même, on a quand même plusieurs choses intéressantes qu'on avait discutées, qu'on avait parlé. Puis on peut continuer sur cette lignée.
Ça ressemble à rien comme.
Qu'est-ce qui ressemble à rien? Le mot.
Parce que là, les lettres ont été inversées. Normalement, on lit de droite à gauche, mais là, l'ordinateur, il ne reconnaît pas les caractères de droite à gauche, fait que là, il les a inversés.
Ah, celle-là.
Ouais. C'est ça, mais quand c'est
Yeah,
comme...
now I get it.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
C'est l'ordinateur qui ne les reconnaît pas.
De quoi vous parlez de
Yeah,
ça?
I'm gonna tell you. Like,
Assalamu alaikum.
this is basically this is reversed. This is supposed like all this is supposed to be technically flipped back.
Yeah.
letters,
Okay.
And this word is actually supposed to come here.
And the
this
other one
word
on the
here,
left.
But the
Yeah,
computer
because
doesn't
Arabic is from
recognize-
left.
It's
Right.
from right to left and cursive.
So
But
all,
here,
like you have to reverse everything. You have to go backwards, like flip it over like a mirror. Because
Yeah.
that's what I'm reading. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
yeah, but it actually reads Assalamu alaikum, which means hello in Arabic.
Yeah.
It's the formal way of saying hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salam. What was that?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, pretty good.
That's good.
Literal meaning of it.
Well, literally, it means peace be upon you. Peace be upon you.
Peace be upon you.
Someone wants to learn Arabic. In which dialect would you want to?
You can't learn
Start.
a dialect. You have to study MSA.
You can learn, because there are websites for dialects, I think.
So somebody here is asking about a question on Arabic.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead.
Question.
Which dialect should you learn if you want to learn Arabic? Like Tian and something like that.
Like-
I'm looking at
I would suggest,
Which is MSA for
MSA because it gives you the base to everything else.
and what is MSA?
Modern
okay,
standard.
modern standard Arabic.
Modern Standard Arabic.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an Arabic, it's not really a dialect because it's the official written language that everybody writes in, but nobody actually speaks in because it's too formal. So if
Yeah.
you were to
And I've
speak
heard
in-
of.
Yeah.
But what's Levantine?
Levantine is spoken in like Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, this part of the world. Those
Okay.
countries, yeah. And this one is the one that I speak the best, but it's not the most commonly understood or spoken one in the Arab world. The most commonly not spoken but understood one is Egyptian, because Egypt does a lot of the important media, movies, documentaries, and music in the Arab world.
Soap operas.
Yeah, so Egypt is.
a lot
If
of
I
Egypt-
want to learn Arabic, then I should be
If-
watching Egyptian soap operas, and
If
I'll
you
pick it
want-
up like I learned Spanish.
Yeah. So if you want to learn a an Arabic dialect, which is not the written one because you want to sound natural, and also one that's can make you understood by as many people as possible, I would suggest Egyptian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Personally, there are some languages that I've had a lot of, I guess, success at learning, and there's others that I've failed miserably every time I've tried. And one of them is German. I cannot. I've tried, and I really think I'm gonna have to apply myself very much. Go do a complete immersion. Go spend a few months there, or something. I don't know. It's a language that's not that that easy to learn for me.
Especially for German, I have many resources. Like I think it's one of the languages that I have the most resources in German.
I think there are a lot of resources online.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know any? Maybe I could recommend a few to you and to other people who might be interested.
For sure.
Okay. So I have a lot of, for example, YouTube channels. Do you know the YouTube channel Get Germanized?
No, but I have a few that I actually follow that are for learning German.
Okay. Like, do you know Deutsch für euch?
What is it called? Dutch für euch?
Deutsch für euch.
Hoi.
German for you. Deutsch für euch. For you.
Deutsch für
Deutsch für
Deutsch für euch.
Für euch. Yeah. Für means for and euch means you guys. You
Yeah,
all.
I thought you was du.
Du is one person.
Du is one person.
No,
So it's like the polite.
It's not polite. The polite version is Sie. Sie means
Sie.
it's they, but it's also used to say you politely. But when you say you informally, it's du to one person.
First person.
Yeah, second person singular.
Deutsch für euch.
Yeah, and nominative.
Nominative, yes.
Yeah, yeah. That
And when it's
Romanian
subject.
is a little bit like that. The nominative and the this and that, and that's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing that I.
Yeah.
That's one thing that it's a language that I picked up
Yeah.
because I was fed up of failing with German,
German,
and I
okay.
said I'll
Romanian?
take Romanian instead. And Romanian is tough. It's not that easy because it's Latin, but it's also Slavic.
A little part Slavic, yes.
But it's a language that I like very much. I'm enjoying very much trying to learn it. One of my challenges is finding people that speak Romanian.
Okay. Yeah, well, in my case...
Resources online, there aren't that many people that speak Romanian.
Store on the carry.
Do you know...
the main Romanian, like for all these holidays and everything, like the main Eastern European. You know how they have like Polish stores, the Russian stores, whatever?
Yeah.
They have the Romanian
There's
newspapers,
Romanian
they will give you all the sources, all the resources, everything.
I know there's a
They have a lot of music.
There's the Libreria Romana or something like that that used to be on top of Bucharest, which is no longer there, which I got a few books from them. Because I like reading in a language. Like, for example, I can read in Romanian and understand a lot. Like, I listen to music and I understand a lot. But if somebody talks to me in Romanian, like there's a guy at my work that talks in Romanian. He speaks so fast.
Yeah,
like,
because they speak fast. That's the reason.
Never mind.
I
have a vocabulary probably of 1,500, 2,000 words more. I can't make one frigging sentence when I'm in front of them.
Can you read?
That happened to me as well.
Yeah.
It happens to everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah. So in any case, that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's asking us, why is English so important all around the world?
History.
Well,
You know, for some of us here in Montreal, English was one of our two first languages that we learned. I know Valérie and Alexandra which are here. Valérie and Alexandra are both French Canadian or French Québécois, and they learned English as a second language.
It's your first language.
Yeah, it's my first language.
It's your first language?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Valérie's first language, or Alexandra's first language?
Yeah. I'm actually French.
Yep. From France? Or?
From France.
Oh, like Nicolas.
Oh.
That's cool.
Oh, we have no native Quebecer here.
No.
That
I'm surprised.
well, I was born here.
Well, I was born here too. I was born here too.
Like, are you counting people who were born in Quebec or just?
I was thinking, somebody who spoke Quebec or French as first language.
Well, it was one of my first languages.
Yeah, one of them.
But I mean, so people, and I have an issue with that. People always ask me, "What's your first language?" You know, I have two.
I have an issue with that too.
Perugino.
Like you have four.
I can't answer that question.
You know?
I don't answer that question.
You know, it's like, do I speak more English? Do I speak more French?
I usually say French because it's my best language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But mother tongue is considered what you're spoken to at birth, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, but you had.
I was supposed to French.
It's like in my case, I had
Yeah.
I had two languages when I was young.
What were you spoken to? But the four languages that you grew up in,
Yeah.
already.
Had no choice.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. That's it. So as such, learning the languages. Well, why is English an important language? I think first of all, it's very universal.
Is this a coincidence?
Well, I think.
Well, I mean, it's because of it's imperialism.
I think it's a very
Because they were going all over the world.
Exactly.
Well, and also I think personally, I think I know a little bit why. I can just make an educated guess. I think it's because the English media is really popular all around the world, like Hollywood movies, music from the United States and even Great Britain. It has become really popular, and people are getting to hear the language more and more in their daily lives, and so that's how they get to be exposed to it, sometimes from a pretty young age, and they get to learn it in school, for example. Yeah. And also.
But then again, learning in school, I think. I think most of us learned it because of the fact that, we had an interest. Or in my case, it was spoken at the house. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that spend their life learning a second language, like English or French, and they finish high school and they don't speak. They're like me with Romanian, I guess. As soon as you have see somebody talk to you, you're like, and that's it,
Da.
da. Yeah, that's it. So sometimes I think it's more than just education. You need to be in an environment where you have to talk it.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you just rely on school, then of course you're not going to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to know the grammar and the structure of the language, but you're not going to actually be able to build sentences in your head because you won't have practiced it enough. So it's important to actually be more active and talk to as many people as you can, whether it be written or spoken.
Yeah, Jacques Lemaire is saying he learned English reading American comics.
Yeah. I understand.
Archie.
Archie comics, yes.
Archie,
I
that's
love
it.
it. Yeah.
Archie and Veronica.
Actually,
Betty.
my best ways of learning French, I remember, was those books, J'aime lire.
Oh,
Yeah. J'aime lire.
The J'aime lire books.
Honestly, as a child, I used to not like French. I don't know, I just found it so difficult or whatever. Like at Armenian school, we were always I don't remember who brought it up that in high school you were forced to speak French. Like, you have to speak French.
It was me.
French. Us too. I went to the official Armenian school in Saint Laurent.
Surpagop,
No, I went to the other one.
which is what I only know Surpagop.
Armen Quebec.
Armen Quebec.
There was Armenian, French, and English. We would be forced in the hallways, everything to speak French, but obviously everybody would speak English.
Yeah.
Because that's how it was Spice Girls and Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about like French, and they would make us, tell us you have to watch Passepartout and watch. Nobody wanted to do these things. We were just like Backstreet Boys and Spice Girls and NSYNC, But that's the thing. I remember. Like that school finished in secondary. It ends in secondary 2. Supagop ends until secondary 5, but this other one ends in Sec 2. So either way, after Sec 2, you have to change
Go
schools.
to another school.
But my parents took me out after Sec 1 because they told me that my French was horrible. Like I used to love, the J'aime lire, and that's about all I read in French, and coming from Soviet parents who, read things like Les Trois Mousquetaires and all these books like in their languages from those countries, to me they were telling me you're just stupid, in a way. I'm giving an example that, the system, they were shocked at the system. I mean, I'm the first person in my family to grow up here to go to school here, right? So they're shocked at they're like the things that we used to do in 6th grade, and I think some of you can agree, the things that we do in 6th grade in those countries, you guys do here in secondary 4.
Yeah.
So they took me out, and I remember I already went to a French high school, and that was my first shock experience, is that I'm surrounded by French Canadians, people who speak incredible French, and I was like, oh my god, my French is horrible. And until you don't integrate yourself, like you said, with those people who speak French, then your French
It's like it
improves and you get better. But I thought my French was perfect when I was at that other school.
I remember when I was young, I went to a bilingual French and English school, half day French, half day English. And I knew how to read in French, but I didn't know how to read in English. And I remember the first class that we had in English, the teacher had made us read. And we were all sitting down in the class and stuff like that in first grade. And I was having a really hard time. I remember when I got back home, I was giving shit to my mom, saying, what is it? You got to make me practice more in English and stuff like that. Here's my book. Let's do some reading and things. So I couldn't accept that I didn't speak it well. Anyways, so
Oh, wow.
I actually, even when we talk about languages, because I went to a bilingual school, and after that we could go to either a French high school or an English high school, they were teaching us both math systems, because
Back then
math.
you were allowed to choose French or English high school?
I'm that old. I was the last year.
The year that you went, that was the last year?
Yeah. So in any case, in my 6th grade of elementary school, they gave us 2 systems. The English and the French way of doing divisions, for example, which was one is one like that and the other one is the other side.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I was like, okay. So then I spent all of my high school at a English. I spent all of my high school at an English at a French high school. And then I did my CEGEP in English, so I had to relearn how to do my math and all that the other way, the English way, which is, it sounds confusing, but even in math and things like that, scientific things, sometimes, you know, it's the languages have an impact.
Yeah. I have a question. Did anyone go to English school here?
Yeah.
Like just English high school?
Yeah. English, I went
high
to
school.
Yeah, English, elementary, high school, stage up. I did everything in English, and the French education is really not good.
Okay, I have a question for you. This is my question because it just came up with just randomly because
Yeah.
it just made me remember some things. My question is: so when you did the English system, did you find it? I'm gonna try to formulate my sentence properly. Did you find it, and then you said French CEGEP?
No, English, everything. I've done everything in English with French education, but in the English
What do you mean
system.
by French education?
So like you have French, you still learn French in school.
Okay.
But basically in an English school, it's basically you have 1 hour, one block of French per day, every day of the week.
Okay.
So it's,
So how do you consider today your French to be?
yeah.
This is my question to you. As opposed to the people who went to French high school and then went into English university or CEGEP or whatever, and were also in a bilingual. How do you consider, like in honesty, how do you consider, like if you had to redo it again, would you have done the same thing, or would you have flipped it and said, okay, no, I'm going to go to French high school and then continue everything in English? What would you have done? Like, what do you consider?
I think I would have flipped it, yeah, because just learning French for say 50 minutes a day, 5 days a week, that's nothing. And I live in the West Island, so it's a primarily Anglophone area. And my family, my friends, everyone's Anglophone. I do have a few Francophone friends, but to have basically no exposure to French outside of school, the amount that you actually learn is not good at all. Like you're able to complete your assignments for school, but the amount that you can actually speak and to say that you're bilingual, I can't really say that I'm bilingual. So that's why I'm studying French.
Would you consider also because French is, in all honesty, I believe a little more difficult than English because we're, like you said, we're so exposed to English media, English television, movies.
I think that's the difference. It's the exposure. It's not the innate difficulty. It's the exposure.
Well, I don't know about English grammar and French grammar. I think French grammar is really complicated. Russian grammar.
But you know, in the Soviet Union, everybody knew Russian, and Russian is a very complicated grammar.
Yeah, but in the Soviet Union, everybody spoke Russian since you're in diapers. You had to speak
But
Russian.
it's a little bit the same in the sense that you're so exposed to, you know, English language media, film, stuff like that. I mean, it's asymmetric, right? If you're French speaking, and you know, what you see Hollywood movies,
not really,
you
but
hear, you know.
because I went to technically I went to a high school that was you had a choice to go into the English sector or the French sector, which is why I asked the question, right?
Yeah.
Because at one point I really wanted to go to the English sector, but again, you know, at home they were like, but your English is fine. You're so you know exposed to it. Your French is just like horrible.
Yeah.
So you know, and they're like, no, we're gonna have those French courses, and it'll be just like you said. What is it, like 1 hour per day or 2 hours per day, whatever? And our parents said, no, French.
Yeah.
This is my question. Like today, do you see that impact? Would you have done it differently?
Yeah, I do see that impact, and I would have liked to have gone to it. I mean, at least French elementary school, or maybe even French high school. I don't know if, I think maybe it would have impacted my English too. Maybe my English wouldn't have been as good, because right now I'm studying English literature, so I'm like really immersed in the language. But it just goes to show you too the isolation that you can have in a predominantly, like this is a French province, and even within that French environment, the isolation that you can have just because of lack of good education at school, or enough of it at school. At least having, you know, half the day in French, half the day in English.
I guess you have language enclaves. What do you call it? Like the West Island is predominantly English. It still is today.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing. That's why you have to reach outside of school, because it's now that I look back and realizing that, you know, to be living in a French province and to not be as good as I feel I should be, it's kind of learning it on your own and going to meet-up groups and just immersing yourself in it, that I think you kind of have to do to supplement a lack of solid education in the language.
It's tough because again, for what you're saying, like I have the girl was telling me that I grew up with the Portuguese, like her son is ready to go to high school, I think in a year. Okay. And she even honestly, she asked me, she's like, I don't know, should I send him to English or send him to French, the French side? And I'm like, honestly, we're so, all we hear around is English. When travel, it's English. When
it's an important language.
Video games, your movies, everything is just English, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it is an easier language to learn because of, you know, all the media throughout the world is in English.
Yeah, for sure. And in your case, you studied most of your life in French.
Yeah, I started learning English when I was in first grade, so when I was 6. And
When did you really start learning English? That's my question.
Yeah, but...
When you went to Concordia or before?
No, I never went to Concordia. All my education was in French. But when I was 10 or 12, I started having interest in the English language because I...
Let's go. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Well, it's really nice meeting you.
Very nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks for coming.
La próxima vez, la presentación que se tenía que hacer en español, se basa.
C'est motivation pour apprendre l'espagnol.
Ouais,
Ah ouais.
absolument.
Au moins c'était ça.
Espero verles a Mundo Linko.
Ah,
Absolutamente.
nos vemos.
再见。
再见。谢谢，再见。
Bye bye.
Yeah.
No, I'm comfy today. I have all my stuff here today.
Okay.
So, go.
So I started really learning the language when I was about 10 or 12. And I first spoke English to people around me a year ago. I've never spoken English
Before then?
before.
Wow.
I was just reading. Well,
So you're-
I spoke in class, but...
So you did that, what I was talking about before, which is like just like put yourself in a context where you have to speak.
Yeah.
And your English is very good.
I was
Congratulations.
It's so beautiful, this French accent. I really love it.
Your English is very good. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I was learning English passively. I was reading, listening to a lot of English, but never speaking it. So you don't have to speak it right away if your input is good enough.
I guess
That's
so.
my opinion.
I guess so. I guess so. Sometimes I think, like in my case, when I try to learn a language, I acquire a lot of exposure to the language by music, by watching TV, by reading, by doing all kinds of things, doing books, little grammar courses and things of the sort. And at a certain point, I say, okay, I have enough. Now I can try to jump in and do what you did last year, which is very good. Coming to the event, did that sort of help motivate you that you were on the right track to want to learn more languages and things like that?
No, I had an interest in learning other languages for a while.
Yeah.
But coming to the LangFest last year opened me to a world of polyglots and language learning
that's it,
community.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Carolus Gutierrez Suarez says her English is amazing. Congrats.
What was the English story that your Portuguese friend, where did they go?
He's not going yet. She's still thinking about it.
Oh,
Honestly,
she's thinking about it,
I
okay.
told her to put him in the French sector.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
I told
suggest.
her go into the French sector because I mean it's something I experienced. Your English is not gonna die. First of all, always around me. We're always around like TV and this and that. And
Exactly.
your French is a bit more. It's more difficult to manage. You know.
Yeah.
Even if you live in Montreal, but it really, from a family who doesn't speak, like let's say, you know, all the time and use that language all the time, it's going to be a lot more difficult to
And I agree
manage.
because it's completely asymmetric
told
that
it to
way,
French.
and it's and
I even told like, even literature-wise and just like the writing-wise and just everything. Not
Sure.
French.
I feel like the second language education, though, whether you're in a French school learning English or vice versa, I feel like it's just so repetitive that it doesn't inspire people to want to learn the language outside.
I think that's the problem.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was young, it wasn't English and French weren't taught as a second language.
Yeah.
They were taught equally. So you had half a day in French, half a day in English.
Yeah.
And I really think I was very fortunate to be able to go to this, and it was even a public school, which now does not exist anymore because of the laws. but it was really fortunate, and all the people that went to my school were all fluently bilingual by the time they finished their elementary
but
school.
you know what? It's even under today's system. Actually, I think it's probably better than before because a lot of the enfants de la loi 101, they are trilingual or bilingual. They because it's like they said, they're exposed to, especially in Montreal and in North America, and the fact that like pop culture is like mostly American and stuff like that. They're exposed to English. It's asymmetric, so you have to reinforce the French side. This is why this is why we have the system that we have, and this is why they won't do any better. They don't any worse in terms of their English by going to the French school.
I really think French is harder, so you're better off like really focusing. Like in my case, I did my high school in French.
Yeah.
My elementary school in French and English. But I had built up enough English in my elementary school, I guess, to be able to do my university in English, which I'm not sure would have been the same if I would have gone the other way and learned French first and then tried to learn English. I don't know.
Because look, you were exposed to both anyways, outside of school as well.
Yeah.
So you would have probably fared, more or less the same.
Possibly.
Yeah, what I was saying was like just the curriculum for second language learning, like from my experience learning French in an English school, it's so repetitive that it doesn't inspire people trying to learn outside. Like you're still by, mid-secondary, you're still trying to perfect avoir and like the same thing over from grade 7 to grade 8 to grade 9, barely expanding on it, and it makes you feel like you're not learning anything. The actual material that we learn through is not that interesting. So by the end of high school, how fluent actually are you? Not very.
But I guess because outside, a lot of people say in the West Island, for instance, they're not necessarily exposed because they don't necessarily. I mean, you have a Netflix account. Most of the series are American, are in English. It's not the same for someone in the West Island. They're not. They're unfortunately, but some of them may be, but they're not watching a ton of French language material. Right. And this is a huge. This is a huge difference. This is what you were saying about the media and pop culture being mostly American. This actually, I think it's the result of history. It's not the cause, because you have two English-speaking empires, British Empire and the United States, and of course large countries and powers, they broadcast, and we're in North America, we're being broadcast English language material all the time, and it's the reality, it's fact of life, but it's in language management, this is one of the things I think you have to take into account, the relative differences in exposure, and hence why I think it's good to have more.
And coincidentally, the top English pop media or whatever artists all come from, most of them from Montreal. You have Cirque du Soleil, you have Celine Dion, you have Madonna, who has a house in Montreal, you have all these people who just come to this multicultural who also send their kids to Jolie, all her kids speak French. Angelique, all her kids speak French. Celine speaks, French to her kids, and this is something that they've, prioritized. Is that I want them to grow up in a French-speaking environment as much as possible, because it's nowhere else that
you try to emulate the languages that you personally speak, and you give it to your to your children. That's what your parents did with you. That's why you got raised with 4 languages.
I don't think location is sometimes it's used though, I feel, as an excuse, like, oh, just because I'm kind of from the West Island, people there, they don't really speak French that well. Yeah, and I don't think that should be used as an excuse either, because you're still, you can still make the effort to try.
Yeah, it's still a bilingual city.
Exactly, and that's where I feel like some people in the West Island.
But sometimes I think if you don't make an effort, you lose out.
Well, yeah.
You really do lose out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're cut off from a certain society.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm from an Italian background, and my parents actually spoke French and English. But there's a lot of people that came at my parents' time. They've been in Canada for 60 years, and they still don't speak French or English. They only speak Italian. Same thing in the Portuguese and the Greek.
They don't want to. They feel like they don't need to, and they're speaking to their own little community.
I think Armenians are not as much.
Armenians, all of them, they have their schools, but they all operate in French.
Well, that's it. They speak French and English.
Yeah, I have Armenian friends who all speak either English or French or both. Yeah.
But I think for a lot of countries, the Greeks, the Italians, the Portuguese. I'm not sure about others, but these are the ones that I'm sure of that live in Montreal. They've really created even the Latinos, the Spanish-speaking persons, they've created their own little mini societies, and they don't have to learn. And I think it's too bad for them. Because they should.
I think it is a generational thing to a certain extent. Because I know I do have a few friends who have Italian grandparents, for example, and they kind of just go along, if they go shopping, they go along with someone who does know English or French to kind of mediate for them. It's not always a generational thing, but I think sometimes it is.
Yeah.
What's the best moment to make an exchange, Leandro?
What's the best moment to make what kind of exchange?
I'm assuming
question or interaction.
Yeah. Well, Leandro, if you have a question for us, please go ahead.
Maybe it means start doing exchange with
people, language exchanges?
I think that's what it means. I don't know. Is that what you mean, Leandro?
It's typing? Okay.
I can't see. But either way, I mean, if we're going to talk about if we're going to talk about simply having an opportunity to talk in a language or something of the sort, I think whenever you feel comfortable enough to be able to start making small sentences, sometimes I kid around with people and I tell them, I speak caveman Romanian, but
that's pretty fluid.
I mean, it's what it is. I can make my sentences. It won't be perfectly structured, but I can talk.
Yeah.
And if you're patient and you talk slowly, we can have a conversation. So I mean, that to me is is actually the starting point of being able to learn a language.
Yes. Exactly.
But you yourself have to be open. And if somebody corrects you, don't get mad. You accept it and you try to learn. And okay, what is he correcting me on? And things of the sort. I have a lot of friends, personally, that they always see me and they say, "Oh, Joey, you speak so many languages." I don't think that I'm so. To me, it's just I made an effort to try to learn, and I practice, and I made tons of mistakes. People don't see all the thousands of mistakes that you make before you can actually talk.
Finally, amen. That's what I try to tell people all the time, that I still make mistakes in some of my languages, but then they just they. languages? Of course. Well, we all even in our native languages we make mistakes.
Of course.
It happens. So. You don't have to discourage yourself because you make mistakes in other languages.
That's it.
The important thing is like when you're being corrected, you try to not repeat the same mistake again, and you learn from it, and then you constantly build upon all those mistakes, and you improve day after day.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. So, but the other people who just look at you like when they see me and they're like, oh, you speak 16 languages. Well, it took me a lot of effort and a lot of time, and I made a lot of mistakes. And even my friends who practice with me, they know exactly what mistakes I made, and they can remind me and tell me how much I improved and congratulate me. But other people who aren't in that circle, they just think, oh, you were like born with it. But no, not at all. Yeah, but not at all. I promise, not at all. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So, are there any other questions, or that's about it? Well, what do you think, Mr. Tetsu? You're the timekeeper.
We had a great.
So, in any case, you know, I think here somebody's talking about Esperanto. Someone being very discreet about Esperanto. Yeah. But in any case, Esperanto, like we said before, is one of those languages, you know, that is as far as I'm concerned, a little bit like English, that people could speak it all around the world. And
yeah, the numbers are much smaller, but it's true that you can go to the vast majority of large cities in the world, and sometimes even smaller cities, and find speakers just in low concentrations.
Yeah.
But spread all over for sure.
Because it's no one's mother tongue,
There's
right?
no one's
it's
mother
always
tongue.
a second.
Well, actually, there's maybe a few hundred children that have grown not only with Esperanto, but I know a couple. I know a few people who speak Esperanto and another language as well, because you know it's never the language of society.
Yeah.
But it's more like it's more like, you know, it's anecdotic. But yes, for the vast majority of speakers, it's something you learn because you're interested in it. You're interested in the deal, or you're interested in. I know people even. Practical reasons, because you can travel really easily for relatively cheap with Esperanto, and that's something that sometimes, because there's a tradition, you know, couch surfing existed in the Esperanto world before couch surfing existed, because there's a tradition of welcoming people in your home, you know, other speakers.
The language is what brings you together.
Exactly. The same thing when you go to a meeting or a congress, or you know. You meet all these people. You already have this common thing, you know, of learning Esperanto, and there's also lots of polyglots in the Esperanto world, anyways. But it's it's something that brings people together, and I mean, for me actually, I learned it a little bit out of curiosity, but it turned out to be actually one of the best language making decisions I've made in terms of return on investment, because I didn't invest that much time, and the time that I did invest, you know, traveling and going to Esperanto events, and here in Montreal we have our bi-monthly events, and it was so much fun that, you know, it didn't feel like an effort, and also getting to know enough to you know, learn the basics and speak was not that much of an effort to begin with, which makes it, you know, to me very rewarding if that's something you want to use. Obviously, no one has a need in their life to learn Esperanto, but I think if you have an interest, you definitely give it a try, because I found that it was great fun. Found a lot of people who had common interests with me, and also I still like the idea of you know, culturally neutral language to communicate in. Which is not at all to say that you shouldn't learn other languages. In fact, a lot of Esperanto speakers, they say, oh, you know, they met Esperanto other speakers from X and Y place. They got interested in the culture afterwards, and then, for instance, one of the most well-known speakers here in the small Esperanto group in Montreal. He's a guy who's named Normand Fleury, and he's been really active for the past 30 years, and he speaks Esperanto at home, and he met his wife, who's Croatian, in an Esperanto Congress in Finland. And they spoke French, Esperanto, and Croatian to their children. And they had interesting rules too about how they were doing it, because they had situational, not personal rules. It's a little bit, they do it a little bit different. They had, you know, we're in this context, we speak French. We're in this context, we speak Croatian. We're in this context, we speak Esperanto. And it's anyways, but they did it. They managed it, and
Yeah,
they
for
have
sure.
2 kids that are 30 years old my age, and it's really interesting family.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna wrap things up. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's almost time.
And
Thanks guys for a wonderful conference.
Yeah.
First time, and I think this was great.
Thank you.
Everybody's first time.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's it.
I had a great time.
Great.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's just one of the reasons why we said it's waiting until August is just too long.
I know. Yeah.
You know, we should hold at least a monthly meeting or every 2 weeks or something like that. But I mean, the chance to be able to get together and talk about languages is fun. You know, puis on peut le faire dans plusieurs langues.
Ouais, puis on sent à la
s'amusant.
maison quand on le fait. Parce que c'est pas tout le monde qui a cette passion-là. Puis là, quand on voit d'autres personnes,
C'est
ouais,
ça,
puis quand on voit d'autres
justement.
personnes qui ont autant d'intérêt que nous, ben ça nous fait sentir inclus. Ouais.
C'est ça. C'est ça.
On est souvent bizarre dans notre entourage.
Ouais, c'est ça, hein. C'est
Donc
comme
ça
pour...
fait du bien d'être
Ouais.
dans notre
La-
milieu.
Les gens nous demandent comme pourquoi t'as appris telle langue, ça va te servir à quoi dans la vie ou comme. Mais c'est un peu dur à expliquer, mais.
Ça,
You know what I say? Because I'm going to work for the KGB.
yeah.
You were born a Soviet citizen.
I
Why
was born a Soviet citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yourself in trouble, man.
It actually
Yeah.
says USSR, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, on your passport it says
Yeah, it actually,
USSR.
it's
Wow.
not anymore now, but like the first time we came here, it said
Yeah.
USSR.
Yeah, you immigrated with a Soviet passport, right? So,
With the red,
Yeah.
the sickle and thing there.
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I still have that passport at home.
yeah, it's memorabilia. It's something you
Yeah.
keep, right? I mean, it's
Of course.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I'm gonna touch that at the.
Are you an
at the
Armenian citizen now
conference.
as well? Yeah. Then when.
Well, I was born there. So.
Yeah, so you when
Well, after
the
the
Soviet
Soviet
Union
split,
split,
then it
then you
becomes
became Armenian
Armenia.
citizen. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess historically there's many people from Armenia
Yeah.
in Montreal. You know, why is it such a special destination for people from Armenia? Why was it chosen as a?
I don't think it's the fact that it was a special destination. It was the fact that after the war, they were just diverse to anywhere they can go and they can leave.
So, but you have a big community in Montreal. There's a big
most
community in
of
Los
them-
Angeles. You were
There's a
saying.
big
That's what
community
I'm
in
saying.
France.
Most
Community in
Armenians that
France?
live here are not from Armenia. They're from Lebanon,
from the
Syria,
diaspora.
Yeah,
Egypt.
You know what? It's true.
Yeah.
I know many people that came. That
Some from Greece,
Came
mainly
from-
from Turkey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles is where they're all from Armenia. Moscow is where they're from Armenia.
Yeah.
Here at the schools we learn Western Armenian. We don't learn Eastern Armenian. And in the case of Arabic, I'll understand
But you speak
both.
Eastern because
I
you were
speak
born in
both.
Armenia.
At home we speak Eastern, but in the schools you're taught Western. So we can understand both, but because we have a lot of Russian words, a lot of Russian words as well. But on the other side, they don't understand when they go to Armenia. Many times, they're like, we don't understand anything that they're saying.
that's cool.
I really like the alphabet.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for staying online with us.
On YouTube, I found like a.
We're gonna give everybody a chance to say goodbye.
If I were to learn, I think
Bye-bye.
one of the smaller, rarer languages, always.
Bye everyone.
Bye. I
Bye.
always have in my head that maybe one day I should give